Are we working? There we go. There we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? All right. I got one question for you. Are you ready to be challenged? Yeah. Is that, yeah? Come on. Yeah? Are we ready to be challenged? Okay, so I have one thing when they asked me to do this challenge. I would never, ever ask any of you to do a challenge that I haven't done myself. So what I'm asking you to do, I've actually done myself in the course of my life, and I think you will have a chance now to someday be up here doing this for the rest of the next generation. So we're going to do it. We're going to be challenged. What's your name?
Rachel.
Rachel, you ready to be challenged?
Ready.
Okay. All right, you each got bags in front of you. In those bags, there are some Hershey's Kisses. You cannot eat them yet, okay? We're going to use those for a little experiment later on. But I will let you eat them when I get off the stage. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and my life and how I got to where I am and why I think the challenge I'm going to give you is relevant to myself and to all of us here. So I was born in Cuba. Cuba! I was born in 1960, which was six months before Castro came down from the mountains and rolled into Havana. And so that was the time I left Cuba, was 6 months after I was born. So it's interesting, today it was mentioned earlier about Ukraine. It's incredible when a communist regime or a dictator comes into your country and takes over the whole place in like this. Within 6 months, Castro turned Cuba into a communist country, and it was everybody had to get out. So we got out, and we came to Miami. And instead of moving to Hialeah or Sweetwater or Little Havana, like most of our Cuban friends did, my grandfather had a little house in a area called Miami Shores. Anybody know Miami Shores? Yeah, so Miami Shores is like in the northeast section of Dade County. And it's very, very Anglo. So I was like the only Cuban in my neighborhood. And my name is, well, I go by Joe Zubi. My real name is Octavio Zubizarreta. So here I am, Octavio Zubizarreta, with a bunch of guys named Jim and Tom and Frank. And so I came home one day to my mom and I said, I want to change my name. I want to be George Hall. And she's like, first of all, you're crazy. Secondly, why George Hall? I said, I know, I just like the name, George Hall. It's kind of common, it's very American. She's like, you're not changing your name, so move on. So raised in Miami, went to St. Rose of Lima Elementary School, and went to Archbishop Curley High School, which no longer exists. It was a high school in North Miami. Then I went to Gainesville. Who wants to be a Gator in this town? Come on, come on. Do you have any Gators here? I got a Seminole in the back over there. We had a great time in the University of Florida, graduated there with a degree in advertising. I went to work in New York, and then I came back to Miami, and I spent most of my career in advertising here. That's when I became the owner of Zubi Advertising, which when we sold it 6 years ago, we were one of the largest Hispanic agencies in the country. And it wasn't easy to get there, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that later. But throughout that time, I realized everything that this community had done for me and my family. I realized everything that the business community has helped me in my growth. So I started doing philanthropic work at a very early stage in my career. And throughout that time, I've been involved with United Way. I've been involved with a lot of other philanthropic charities, Boys Club, the Salvation Army. And so it was very important to me, and it will be, I hope, to all of you, as you succeed in your careers, to always keep in mind that to give it back, to pay it forward, to help someone who needs your help more than you do. And that's why I took this role as the president and CEO of United Way. Now, to be honest with you, the previous president resigned last year. And because of my involvement throughout my career, they asked me to step in and be the president now. And they have to do an official search to choose a president. So my hat's in the ring, and I may or may not be the president next year. But for now, I'm the man, so you got to pay attention to me. So let me show you a little bit about my family, and this is why I picked these pictures for a specific reason. The middle picture there is my grandparents and my little sister, and this was a typical Cuban night at my house. Big cazuela full of probably some lechon or some boliche, a bowl of rice, some cheap wine. But this was a very humble upbringing. We were a very lower to middle class, probably lower to middle class family. You can see on the left side of the screen, on your side, my father, after my sister was born. See how happy he looks? Look at that face. Can you see the face? Wait, why are we not seeing why are we not seeing the pictures? There they are. Yeah, look at my dad's face there on the left side of the screen. You see how happy he is that he has 2 kids now? And he has a very small home, and he's working 2 jobs, and here he is, yeah. And then later on, as we got a little older, on the right side, my dad got a little happier because he found scotch. And so not only did he have a glass of scotch in his hand, but he liked scotch so much that the lamp behind him is actually a scotch bottle. So if you look closely at that picture. But I wanted to also show you that at one point I did have hair, okay? I had hair. So this is the family. This is the Zubi clan. And we were basically what what United Way calls an Alice family. I'm going to explain what an Alice family is, and I'm assuming that when I explain it to you, many of you will say, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm in an Alice family. So an Alice family is, well, my family, the reason we were Alice family is my dad had to work 2 jobs to make a living. And during the day, his first job when we got here from Cuba, he was driving a Pepsi-Cola truck. Then he got a job at a mortgage company. He was pretty good with numbers, so he was doing mortgages. And my mother was working at home doing some typing and some filing for friends, trying to pick up a little money. As I mentioned, they insisted that myself and my sister go to Catholic schools. That was one of the things that, regardless of how much money we had in our family, they wanted us to have a Catholic school upbringing. We shared 1 car. Through the help of my grandfather and a couple of cousins, we were able to buy a small home. We had a mortgage on, and we had a dog. Always had a dog. So why does that make us an Alice family? Because the acronym, it's not an acronym, help me because you guys are students. What is it when a word means something and spells it out? Acronym, right? Okay, it is, right? Asset limited, income constrained, employed. So what does that mean? Asset limited means we're not making a lot of money, right? Income constrained means that with the money we are making, we're barely making ends meet, but we're employed. We have jobs. We're not in poverty. We're not on welfare. We're not on food stamps. We're working people that are barely making enough to survive and living basically paycheck to paycheck. Like I said, we're below the federal poverty level. These are people that are, cashiers, healthcare workers, security guards, laborers. My father was in the mortgage company industry. My mom was working from home. Very little, if any, savings. So any emergency, any issue that would come up, medical emergency or crisis of some sort, could literally break the mold, break the bridge, right? The last straw, and we would be in severe trouble. In Miami, there's 895,000 households, of which 37% of them are Alice households. Add that to the 17% of the households that are in poverty, and you have over half of our community, half of our population, maybe even half of this room, is in the Alice or poverty levels. That's how big the problem is. And so keep that in mind because your challenge is coming. And I want to show you the issue is that it hasn't changed. In the last decade, if you look at the bar chart, we really haven't moved the needle that much between Alice and between poverty. There's actually a little bit of a decrease in Alice, not much, still over 300,000 households, but also a decrease in poverty. And in order for an Alice family to survive, look at this chart. Look at the chart that says 2 adults and 2 children in child care. You need $76,000 a year to basically cover your expenses, your household expenses. If you have a father, a mother, 2 kids that need some sort of health care, child care, whether it be after-school care or daycare, you need $76,000 to do that. So you ask yourself now, I don't know if you guys know how much your mom and dad make, but are you making $76,000? Do you have enough to cover your expenses, to get your transportation, your health care, your technology, cell phones? I notice everybody has a cell phone now, right? You guys take that cell phone for granted, right? I don't know if you pay for your own cell phone, but if your parents pay for it, that's a household expense that they have to add to their monthly expenses every month. So these are the issues. And then the bigger issue, especially after today, is it's not getting any better, right? Cost of rent, cost of gas, cost of food, everything in the past year has gone up dramatically. Today, I believe the crude price was $1.08 for crude, which is, no, I'm sorry, $108 for the barrel of crude, which is the highest number that's been in years, probably since 2014, I think. This whole issue with Russia has got the world, on fire. So now we're going to do the simulation. I want you to take out your bags, put out the chart. There's a paper in there. You're going to put it out and lay it out in front of you. This is what you should be looking at. It's a chart that says making choices. And in there, you're going to have a Ziploc or some sort of bag that has 15 Hershey's Kisses. So everybody, I'll see when everybody's pretty much ready for this. Now, for this simulation, I'm gonna ask you all to put yourselves in the second column of this chart, which is the 2 adults and 2 children living at home, right? So you're not doing the first column, you're not doing the third column, you're doing the center column, because this is really where the Alice families are, right? 2 adults, 2 kids, daycare, transportation, etc. You have 15 Hershey's Kisses. I need you to put those Hershey's Kisses down on that chart in the level in which you would like to live or you can afford to live based on your total income is the value of those 15 kisses. So if you want to live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, you have to use 4 kisses. If you have to live in a studio, you'll use the 3 kisses. If you want to have child care for, I can't read that really well. For after-school care for one of your kids, you need 2 kisses. If you want to leave that kid with a neighbor, you only have to use 1 kiss, right? So you see how that works? So now, what is your life? What choices will you make to spend those 15 kisses or your $76,000? I'll give you like 5 minutes to sort of figure that out. And you can talk to your neighbors about it because, this is kind of a, hey, well, can you live in a studio with, 2 kids that are child care? Question. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. No, you can't. Your kisses are your kisses. You cannot share them with others. So if you want to have 3 meals a day, you've got to use 3 kisses. No, that's three regular meals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm good on time? Katie. 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 I'm good on time. Just went to 15. What's that? Okay. Speaker? Microphone? Thank you. Okay, now, I'm assuming that by now you've put down your 15 kisses. You've decided whether or not you want to live in a studio or whether you're going to leave your kids with your grandmother. You know, how many other expenses you're going to have. Okay, we're good on this? Now, listen up. This is very important. Come on, listen up. Because here's where it gets difficult. So you've got your 15 kisses down. You've got your life. You've been able to manage the budget that you have, and you're living in the way that you feel is acceptable. Now here's what happens. Your little sister gets sick, and she needs medical care, consistent medical care. And that's going to cost you one kiss. So you have to take a kiss off your board. Where do you take it and how do you readjust? So this is not, go ahead, speaker back up. So this is obviously not easy, right? Now you're making severe life choices. Now imagine if something else happened along the way where you'd actually have to take yet another kiss off. I'm not going to make you do that now for the purposes of time. The illustration, what I wanted to show you is in this Alice community, one kiss can change your whole life because you may have to go from a 2-bedroom apartment to a studio. You may have to get rid of your car. You may have to stop leaving your kids in childcare and put them with your grandmother. And we know at United Way, from early education standpoint, the formative years of 3 to 5, 3 to 6 years old, if that child is just sitting in a room while abuelita is watching novelas, he or she's not learning anything. And those first 3 or 4 years of life are instrumental in the development of social skills, learning skills, education in general. So by putting them with abuelita, you're actually hurting those children. But maybe you have to because you can't afford to put them into a preschool or a kindergarten because your kiss is gone. Right? So now by removing that kiss because little sister got sick, say it was your fault, you got sick, now your brother isn't learning anything, right? So this is what these families deal with every day. And this is what my family dealt with, especially when in 1976, my dad got laid off from his job. And my mother got a job at a small ad agency doing secretarial work. And about a year later, that agency closed because the account that was running down here went bankrupt. There was an airline that went bankrupt. So my mother took a chance, and she opened Zubi Advertising with one client. It was 2 guys that were building condos in Hialeah, and they asked her to stay on so they can sell the rest of their condos before she left. So she opened her doors at Zubi Advertising, And then I'll give you a quick timeline of how, through my mother's perseverance, through her work and effort, how we got out of Alice. In 1976, she opened her doors. She helped those 2 condominium owners, and El Nuevo Herald, which was a newspaper that was just starting back then, put out a request for proposal to do the advertising for the new Spanish language newspaper, and she won that account all by herself. In 1980, she won the Winn-Dixie Supermarkets account with a group of like 3 other ladies that had joined her. In 1985, she won the Pizza Hut local account, and that was now at the agency was about 20 people. And then in 1990, she called me. I was working at an ad agency in Miami called Bieber Silverstein, and she said, listen, we have an opportunity in 1990. Pizza Hut is taking the Miami, the Texas, the California regions, combining them all. They want one agency to do the whole thing. Can you come over and help me pitch the account? So I left the agency I was at. I came over to Zubi Advertising. We won the account. That was our first national account in 1990. In 1996, we had a chance to win the national business for Ford Motor Company. That was a huge pitch for us because we were a little agency in Miami, obviously still, not as big as some of the other agencies in New York and California, but we were considered a very Cuban agency, a very Caribbean agency, and the bulk of the population, Hispanic market at that time, and still is Mexican Americans, mostly in the West and the Southwest. So we were really the underdogs to win this business. We put everything we had into it. We won the account, and Zubi Advertising accomplished the American dream. We became the largest Hispanic agency in the region and one of the top 10 Hispanic agencies in the country. We were no longer an Alice family. You can see that now we have a little more wealth. I had a daughter. My mom was very happy. We were working together as a family. My father, look, she's smiling now. Look at him smiling now. All of a sudden, Dad's happy. How about that? But that's how we got out of Alice, through hard work, perseverance, taking chances, taking risks. I mean, imagine a lady, a Cuban woman in 1976, taking the risk of opening her own business, her own advertising agency, in a male-dominated world of advertising, a male-dominated city of Miami, and winning and having the success that she had, and then, through the grace of God, the success that myself and my sister and our families have had along the way. So, ready for your challenge? Okay. Without feeling like you have to raise your hands, but how many of you feel right now you're kind of in an Alice family situation? Okay. It's a pretty good amount of people. So here's your challenge, folks, and I know you can all do it. I challenge you to find ways to make your generation the last Alice generation by designing a solution that encourages families to utilize community resources that help achieve economic stability. You guys get your families out of Alice. You can do it. I know you can. That's my challenge to you. Thank you. Questions? Okay.
This is your challenger number 1. We're going to give you all of the resources so you can take pictures, but we got you covered. Now, we have just a few minutes to ask your challenger any questions that you have. After that, you're going to have time to talk amongst yourselves. We got 2 mic runners. So out there in the audience, does anybody want to ask your challenger number 1, Joe Zubi, a question? Okay, we got some hands back here. Make sure you say your school's, stand up, say your school's name, your name, and speak clearly.
Hi, my name is Emily or Ari. I'm from South Miami Senior High. Question, how did you growing up as an Alice family affect you socially?
I'm sorry,
with the people around
can you
you?
repeat it? I didn't catch you. Can you repeat it?
How did you growing up in an Alice family affect you socially in like the school you were in?
That's a good question because I was at, am I on? Yeah. So the school, the Catholic school I was in was, I guess there was a mix of some more affluent and some less affluent people, but a lot of people in that school were, there because their parents wanted to be there, but were not, barely making the tuition payments. But socially, I didn't have a lot of parties. I didn't have a lot of, get-togethers. It was mainly, come home, work. I was starting to work when I was 14 years old. My first job, I think, was delivering papers and then cutting lawns, and then I was picking up golf balls at a driving range, and then I worked at Publix, and then I worked in construction. So basically, my after schools and my weekends, a lot of it was work. But the time that I did have it was mainly through sports, baseball and football, in organized community center sports.
Y'all can snap for that. Next question.
We have one over here, and I see it.
Oh, let's go over here. Yeah.
Go ahead. You tell me where.
Yeah. Let's go right here.
Hi, good morning. My name's Colin. I'm from American Senior High. I see on the paper that internet access is so home computer with internet, smartphone, etc. That's on thriving. But with the last couple of years, have you guys reevaluated how that might have to move down because without internet the last couple of years you can't even go to school?
That's true. It's a sacrifice. So internet availability is there. Internet ability to pay for it is not always there. And some families, their kids have to, go to their neighbor's house or go to a public area library or something to get online. Now, internet has become much more affordable these days. Parents might have to sacrifice, the snacks that they would buy for at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to cover the internet. But there's always going to be a trade-off. You can't, you're not going to be able to, with those 15 kisses, there's only so much you can do, right? And you can start eating your kisses now. It'll keep you awake the rest of the day.
All right, Olivia, you're going to go back there?
Hello, my name is Tamika DeLiska. I represent School for Advanced Studies North. And I know United Way works with helping low-income families manage, savings and stuff like that. So how has your company try and help do this challenge? What has worked and what hasn't worked?
That's a great question. So I'm not going to give you the answers because you all have to find them yourselves, but United Way has a lot of services that will help get Alice families through these hard times. We have child care services. We have our own schools. We have financial centers for financial learning where you can come in and get advice on taxes, credit, all kinds of things like that. It's out there. Branches, which we have a representative of Branches here, is a great organization that helps our community. We work very closely with them. So they're out there, and you can find them. You're just going to have to figure out your plan on how to utilize them, right?
All right, listen. I know we got a ton of questions, but Joe, you're going to be hanging out with us for a little bit?
I'll be here.
So right now we're going to stop with the Q&A, but y'all show Joe some more love.